Pietro Marini is our guest today, and actually, I think it's a special session today. Hi, everybody. This is another session of Hype Live, and we're going to talk today probably about one of the most interesting, relevant topics now, which is especially now in this new reality, which is about what's happening to the broadcasting, what's happening around the experience of the fans now, and what the future holds in terms of all the relevant topics which are related to the new media around us and how sports is going to be broadcasted. Pietro, maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Yes, sure. Hi, Amir. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Pietro Marini. I lead the Deltatra's Innovation Lab based in Zurich, in Italy. I basically started working in Deltatre in 2010, right concurrently to when I started studying at the university, focusing initially on event operations. Then I entered full-time in 2017. Initially, I focused on process innovation and process improvement in the corporate PMO group, and then I was appointed as head of the Innovation Lab. The Innovation Lab is basically an entity within the Deltatre environment responsible for the coordination of innovative efforts and for performing research and development, as well as process improvement and process innovation across the group.
Great. Now, you and we had the chance to meet in the last few months through the Hype Global Virtual Accelerator, and the people that are listening to this live session, and also later on a podcast and recording on our websites, are I would say the ecosystem of SportsTech. So it could be brands, it could be clubs, it could be fans, it could be startups. And, for you, obviously, as somebody is very deep into technology, it's probably, very clear. Not everybody understands exactly the differences and the different verticals. And can you give a little bit in terms of your role as Deltatre? What part of the game do you're accountable for? Yeah. If I sit at home and I watch a game, or I watch a show, or I watch something on relates to sports, what part of this chain is under your, I would say, leadership and execution?
Well, as Deltatre, we're kind of unique in this, as we provide services that range from a very wide set of services. So we start from the collection of data at venues, down until all the different outputs which data and statistics is displayed, but not exclusively. We also power most relevant content management systems and OTT platforms. We mainly work with sports federations, clubs, entertainment agencies, and so on. Therefore, we tend to provide the entire set of services from which each client can obviously choose what to do with us. To provide some actual tangible examples, we provide the broadcast graphics for some of our clients. As I was saying earlier, we power a content management system, therefore websites for various clubs and federations. We build and maintain and operate streaming platforms on behalf of our clients, and therefore, although we tend to be behind the scenes, let's say, we are effectively present in most experiences that a sports fan will endure, basically.
So if I'm seeing a Champions League final or any other major game, there is good chance that you are I would say a meaningful player in the process.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And it's interesting because your customers, usually when I spoke to startups, they are aiming either at clubs and federation and solving one of their challenges, or they're aiming at the telcos and the broadcasters of the world solving their challenges. like, I don't know, the ESPN of the world, now the new broadcasters of, I would say, Facebook and Amazon that are starting to get heavily into this game. In your case, you're addressing both. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. We are fully agnostic, let's say. So depending on the strategy of the right owners, we can work with literally everyone from clubs to federations to broadcasters, providing similar services depending on what their needs are. As I'm sure you're aware, the federations strategies in particular have been shifting significantly in the past years. As in most industries, there is the trend to move away from the middlemen, let's say. So federations tend to go direct to consumer, directly providing content to fans. Without the need of broadcasters, which obviously have a unique skill set as far as production, advertisement, and so on is concerned. Therefore, it's not obviously something that is at full speed as of today, but it's a trend that we are seeing more and more. Although until today, I can say that TV is still king as far as content delivery is concerned. TV, more exactly, broadcasters are still king. Obviously, federations are seeing that it can be a significant source of revenue, either in parallel or as a substituting traditional broadcasting, and so that's something that many of our clients are currently experiencing. And yes, again, as I was saying, we can work with literally anyone that needs our services. So either owned and operated, either end to end, or whatever, we can provide services to everyone within this ecosystem.
Okay, great. So that gives clarity on your role. Now, you mentioned something about where, latest trends and where this industry is going. And, in the past, we know that, if you were a right holder like federation, you sold your right to the federation, or if you're a club in the Bundesliga, you sold it, and you sometimes had a third party like, I don't know, Lagardère or IMG in the middle helping you with that. But this industry now, it's, the business models here also are changing, and more federations, as you said, and clubs, are starting to speak directly to the consumers. Can you explain a little bit about the shift in this process and where is it going?
Sure. I think that at the center of this entire ecosystem, there is always content. So it is actually content in which fans are interested, and it's content that fans are willing to pay for. Federation and let's say right creators, content creators, are noticing this more and more. As I was saying earlier, there is a specific skill set needed that federations eventually must build internally. But again, it's a matter of creating solid ties and binding relationship with fans, which are in this case the end users. And this obviously allows for huge potential as far as monetization is concerned, as far as fan engagement is concerned. And let's say that regardless of what federation we're talking about, having a happy fan is the actual end target. Building a strong brand in which that can be identifiable by anyone connecting or watching a given match, show, and so on is what is really key in this instance.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the clubs have this tendency of wanting to create their own relationship, and everybody speaks about personalization now and having your own access to your own and set up and create new content for your own fans directly. But can you see like 5 years time or 10 years time that there will be clubs direct, bringing everything through without any broadcasters in the middle, or it can't be?
Maybe not so much clubs, but more federations. Obviously, because federations coordinate the whole system. So I think it could be more federations, more likely. Again, it all depends on the federation's ability to build the skills that are needed to effectively deliver content, as I was saying earlier. So everything concerning production, everything concerning advertisement, and traditional monetization is something that is not necessarily given that federations have as a specific skill set. Obviously, broadcasters have been doing it for decades, so they are far ahead and add a lot of value throughout the value chain. So I think, as I was saying, this is a trend that we are seeing now. If you were to ask me where we will be in 5 years, I think that this trend will be more and more clear to everyone, and that federations will eventually start focusing on this significantly. I don't think we will end up experiencing a full replacement, but rather an integration maybe in markets that are not tier one for federations or for broadcasters, where they have the possibility of exploring and of trying out new stuff.
Got it. So just so I understand, let's say I have a good friend in UEFA, you happen to know him, and let's say I come to visit him in Switzerland. In 5 years' time, there probably will be a broadcasting unit there, and they will broadcast their own games. That's where, not them. I mean, in general, this is where the federations are going.
I think this is one possibility. Again, I don't see a full replacement, but rather a strategical, let's say, a strategical targetization of specific territories where this is feasible.
Okay. And how do you see the Facebook and Amazon phenomena, where you see Amazon buying now, Facebook buying, I think, the Premier League, or there's so many, they're starting to get heavily into this game. How does this also affect you?
Again, we are fully agnostic, so it all depends on the strategy of whoever chooses to do this kind of activity. In the past, we've seen some pilots that have been some successful, other less. As far as we are concerned, again, the services we provide will be needed regardless of who will be delivering content. Then someone may choose to build their own infrastructure to provide this kind of services, but this is something that may happen regardless of whether there is this shift from broadcasters to the FANG, let's say. So let's say that I think that we really must understand, given the actual content strategy that the likes of Netflix, Amazon, and so on have, if it's worth the expense. If we consider, for example, Prime Video and Netflix, their strength is in their archive content. So the overall offering that they have. We know that sports, as of today, is really live dependent. Live is king in sports. The question we have to ask ourselves is if they are willing to spend huge amounts of money, because we're talking about a huge amount of money, billions and billions for sports right, to have something that is really appealing at a given time, at a very precise moment in time, that significantly, drastically reduces its value once the live is actually gone. Obviously, there is also contextual content, VOD, and everything that is obviously interesting, but it's not worth the money that it costs, let's say. So this is something that I think we will see. And again, if we look at what has been done in past, Amazon purchased rights and delivers it independently. Let's say Facebook, for example, with the Champions League in the past years, has done something different. So they have made an agreement directly with broadcaster in the US for Champions League matches with Fox Sports. So again, I think there are many potential strategies, all worth considering. Definitely, some are more ready than others into entering these kind of activities. Again, as far as we're concerned, we're again pretty agnostic. I mean, our services will always be needed, and replacing us or companies like us is not something immediate.
Now, this is all now, I think, clear, at least to me, specifically around traditional sports. But what about esports?
Esports is potentially a whole new world. I mean, esports is unique in a way that it has two different stories that have to be told. So the story of what is happening in the game, and the story around the players that play the game. So the potential is obviously huge. We know that there are some players that are far ahead as far as delivery of esports content is concerned. The services we tend to provide are obviously fitting with esports needs and esports content delivery needs, and I think in contrast with what we've been saying until now, esports is now pretty. It's pretty clear who will be, let's say, the winner. Pass me the term. In this case, we have Amazon with Twitch is building a really massive community of esports fans, and we've seen some pretty interesting activities from federations, noticing that as the audience is younger, they tend to have different channels to consume content. Twitch is one of them, so I'm sure that we will see more and more content delivery moving to these platforms, mainly to engage with a whole segment of users that they would risk losing otherwise.
Yeah, got it. So esport is definitely big, and looking at Deltatre, if we talk in few years' time, if I understand you right, probably esport will be a significant part of your work.
Yes, let's say that as of today, we haven't been really strongly focusing yet on esports. We will see how it goes. I think esports it's here to stay. I mean, there's no doubt in that. And as I was saying, the services that are needed that are built around esports are really similar to the ones we currently provide. So it's a matter of getting to understand the fan base and building tailored solution for a segment that is slightly different, but then in the end needs the same things as the ones of traditional sports.
Yeah, got it. Pietro, when on a personal level, I work with brands and from different parts of the world, and I would say, to put it bluntly, there are two types of people. There are the people that likes to be around innovation, and they feel great about it. It's maybe good PR, and sometimes they even find a good startup. And there are the people that are actually working in that and seeing that as a major part of their strategy. And I'm not just saying it. I saw you in action in the last 3 months, and I know how much time you've invested in that, and also supported mentors, supported startups, and really invested time in learning their solution, what they're doing, and seeing whether they could be a good fit. Now, first of all, I, as an innovator yourself and somebody who's already there, why did you need this program with Hype anyway? And if you can share a little bit of, what did you get out of that? Did you, what kind of value, tangible value it gave you, if at all?
Starting from why would we need an entity as Hype? Obviously, you know well better than I do. This kind of activity is super time consuming. It's something that requires a lot of effort, a lot of skills, a lot of know-how in order to have it performed in a certain way, as effective as possible. In everything I do, I know that we cannot do everything on our own. So identifying the correct partner to do this kind of activities with is key in order to basically reduce the effort and trying to maximize the potential output. As far as the takeaways, obviously, it's always good to be aware of what is happening in the world, and this is one of the best. It has proven to be one of the best ways to be always up to date with recent trends. It gives you also the opportunity of building several relationships with different players, so from fellow mentors and companies and professionals that have participated at my level, as well as obviously startups. Given that we are technology providers, we must also perform continuous scouting to understand what has the best potential. We could potentially think of partnering or investing in some of these startups, and we must ensure being aware of what is happening. Also, because again, regardless of whether an actual partnership or let's say introduction to our clients is concerned, it's always good to be aware of what is going on.
Excellent. Can you share some exciting technologies? You don't need to mention names, but solutions you met that inspired you, or things that really got your attention.
Yes, sure. Again, I have been actively participating mainly in three verticals. So the esport and media, the high performance one, and the clubs and federation one. Obviously, as I've been doing this kind of work for a couple of years by now, I had already seen many of the technologies that were presented. What I have seen that the participants were provided with a strong context and the strong resources to be effective in the exposition and in the actual content that they were presenting. So that was really great. I've seen companies coming from everywhere throughout the world, several different technologies. We've actively engaged with some of them around, for example, automated tracking, which is something that will definitely be really relevant in the future. I personally am a big fan of volumetric capturing. That, for the time being, is really expensive, and technology will allow us to deliver it in a much more efficient way. I was really amazed by the AI powered basketball training robot, as well as the actual physical training cages for baseball, cricket, and so on. So again, there was a lot to keep track of. Not necessarily fully fitting with Deltatre. I'm again, I work in innovation, so I'm basically interested into whatever catches my eye, regardless of whether it's consistent with Deltatre, obviously for personal reasons. Therefore, overall, the experience was really great, and I've had the opportunity to build this relationship, as I was saying earlier, not only with Start, but also with the fellow professionals and mentors. That is something that in the medium and long term will definitely bring value to myself personally and to Deltatre as well, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. If there is a startup listening to us now that he think that he has a great solution for Deltatre, what's the best way for him to get your attention? How does it work?
It's a matter of understanding what our needs are. So it's partially also on our side being able to communicate effectively what our needs are. I think that our needs are consistent with the market. Obviously, we tend to try and anticipate market needs and market trends. So I think that we've seen in some cases, first of all, the flexibility that they must have in order to try and engage with us. Just to provide an example, one of the startups we've engaged with had an initial MVP around one sports. I've asked them if feasibility around another sports, and in a couple of weeks tops, they were able to provide a demo on the sports that I've asked for, which is something really valuable for us because it provides it is a perfect proxy of the ability also from a technological perspective, which is in most cases the hardest part, to be flexible and to adapt to specific needs. And this is what determines the success or failure of a startup, being able to adapt to external needs and to potential clients desires. So I think it's mostly about communication. Obviously, it's a multi-step approach, because other than the initial contact, then there are many different kind of analysis and evaluations to be performed, mainly around technology. As we in the innovation lab build prototypes and MVPs, we are well aware that in some cases what is shown is really far from what can actually be done. So there's also some marketing at the initial steps to undergo, but then we have to get to a point in which we see that the technology is solid, is flexible and adaptable to several circumstances.
Great. This is, I think, very valuable for startups listening to us. And I think on the last note, looking at the future, they say that very difficult to predict the future, specifically in places where there are disruptions. Yeah. So if I ask you, I don't know, 15 years ago to predict the growth of the taxi industry in New York, you probably had a vision about that. But since Uber got in, it's really, your prediction crashed. So disruption really kills the prediction. Now, I think in broadcasting and OTT and where it's going, very difficult to predict. But if you would, let's say, need to give a prediction of where we're going to be in 5 years' time, 5G and all those new technologies, if you can give me like a picture of the future, what will happen there, just as a bold guesstimation?
Yes, sure. I will try then again. as you are saying, everything can happen in 5 years' time. I think obviously the AI will be more and more at the epicenter of the fan first experience. 5G that which you've mentioned will be a great enabler for AI, as it will allow for portable and democratic AI. Let's say we now live with the devices that were not even imaginable 30 years ago, 20 years ago, that have the necessary power to actually perform the calculation that are needed to have AI run either on premise or in cloud or whatever. So again, I think we will start seeing something close to the full potential of AI, and this will be a huge breakthrough for the entire world, actually, not just obviously in the sports and entertainment industry. Then I think that again, what will really drive innovation and future services and products gravitates around the actual social development of let's say of habits and of trends that are strongly dependent to fans. Again, we are talking about a fan-centric world, so we know that the attention span of fans is strongly decreasing, and therefore there is a need of keeping fans attached to the content that you're providing. So contextual provision of consistent content with the live event will always be more important. I personally, when I'm watching a game or a TV show or whatever, I tend to just look at my Facebook feed, surf Twitter, and so on. And I think that a really mandatory need will be to provide contextual content, so avoiding losing the fans' attention, but rather funneling it towards the actual live event that is happening. And this is, I think, something that will be really defining for the entire industry. So contextual statistics, contextual VOD, on the fly highlights, on the fly evaluations by journalists, by fans themselves, and so on, will really transform the fan experience and provide allow fans to feel part of something, even though they are at home on their sofa.
This is fascinating, and I think we share something in common, Pietro. It seems there is a real passion around what you do. I think for both innovation and sports, if I may say so. So I want to thank you very much for joining us today. I think this was really priceless for I would say the people that can look from the outside and do not really get an opportunity to look a little bit inside what's happening in this industry and the potential here and where the future is going. So really want to thank you for your insights, and really looking forward to see you in our next activities. And thank you all for joining us today. See you next time.
Thank you, Amir, and thanks to the entire Hive family. It has been a great pleasure.
Thank you.